Hey guys, this is James from TeaDB, bringing you InBetweenIsode number 59. I didn't realize that I was going to do this episode, but I am. So as you can see, as you might not be able to see, I'm not actually doing the storage comparison yet. That'll be next week. So this week I am filming an episode on the most expensive tea that's available from YangQing Hao's catalog. I didn't realize I had a 10-gram sample, so I drank the first bit of that yesterday, and I decided I wanted to bring it on the show, mainly for fun. This is a tea that's a little bit beyond the price consideration for myself. It's just a very expensive tea. It costs $780 for 500 grams. So it's about twice as expensive as the Teiji pin from yesterday, a tea that I really like, and I think you're spending that sort of money on tea, 80 cents a gram or so, I think that might be one of the best choices that's available for a Westerner. So I have rinsed it once, and I've had one steep so far just to kind of get a feel for the tea again. So I have steep number 2 and 3 right here. I'm going to get drinking. Cheers, guys. So immediately, you could just sort of tell that the tea is very lower register. It's like a tea with a lot of base. There's a little bit of herbaliness, a little bit of maltiness in the tea. Very thick, very, very thick. It's hard to say if it's the very thickest of all these YangQing Hao teas, but it's definitely right up there with the Chawangshu, which is also from, this tea is supposedly from Guafengzhai. I think it's supposedly from Chawangshu, which is kind of like the sub-area of Guafengzhai, which is the most sought after. So, I mean, like with everything in Pu'erh, because we're not actually seeing these leaves being harvested or whatever, you should take it all with a grain of salt, but that is interesting. The price certainly reflects sort of its roots there. Steep number 3. It's very, very thick. Each brewing, including the rinse, which I had a bit of, has been just like very, very quick. I'm also going to note quickly that I am drinking the center of the Bing, which might be producing a little bit of a suboptimal session. I've talked with a couple people. One of them had the center of the Bing too, and another guy had sort of the outer side of it. And unsurprisingly, the guy that had a more normal part of the Bing enjoyed it more. So it's really thick. You can feel it go down. There's a strong sort of throat feel, like right around here, that you can feel just from the get-go on these. Just sort of like the liquid just sort of like stops there, and you can. And it's kind of like a, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. But the chi of the tea, you can feel it very quickly. It's a tea that doesn't have. That all the higher notes, whatever was there originally, is definitely already aged off. The material in my Gaiwan doesn't look particularly great. I think that's part of because I got the Bing hole and I had to break it up a little bit. Alright, so this is steep number 4. And so, I don't know if you guys can see, but this is a newly cleaned chai. Brewing up what's close to a red, maybe a little bit oranginess in there. And I'm getting a fair deal of sediment just at the bottom of my cup. Another product of just kind of the material that I've been left with for my sample, which is fine. I would rather have a chance to try this tea with the center of the Bing than not try this tea. I still very much enjoy it. And I think with this tea, the most remarkable aspects of it are the thickness, which is very enduring, and I found that the thickness of the tea which is especially emphasized if you are drinking this tea, then you go back to maybe what you're drinking earlier in the day, which for me was the Teiji pin, which is no lightweight on its own. And I was like, wow. And it made me just appreciate the thickness and the viscosity of this tea that much more. Yeah, so I'm going to let that cool for a second, have a sniff. So the aroma is changing a little bit. It was a little bit maltier and a little bit more herbally earlier. Now it's a little bit, I want to say, creamy, vanilla, a little bit fruity. I guess sort of the long-on lychee type fruits. Oops. Not really a tea that you seek after for its aroma, but it doesn't have an unpleasant aroma or anything like that. It's interesting just to see the arc of these teas in the sense that like all those top notes, all those floral notes, they're no longer in this tea at all. And so if you are someone that gets allured by those things, it's definitely something to take note of when you're thinking about young tea to age. Even thicker, I'm getting sort of a light bitterness throughout this steep as well. A little bit of herbally, malty as well. This is probably the thickest steep, so it's continued to thicken up. The center of the Bing, it's fairly compressed, just more so than the rest of it. So I kind of did a mixture of breaking it up more, which will allow it to brew out faster, but might cause more bitterness. But I didn't break up all the pieces of it, so I think it might be reflecting that in sort of like the time it's taking to get up to speed in the brewing. Cheers, guys. So, I think the major asset of this tea, as it's starting to get me to sweat, is that not only is the chi very good, not only is the throat feel very powerful, but the thickness of the body, I would say, is like one of the biggest reasons why you would like this tea. It's just very consistently thick. Perhaps more so than any tea I've had, which includes things like, I don't know, like teas that you guys might be familiar with, the Last Thoughts, which starts out very thick, but it's a little bit more inconsistent when it falls off and stuff. This tea, I find, can produce a very, very thick, viscous soup for brew after brew. A little bit herbally still, similar profile, and we're going to do one more. Fruity notes are sort of coming to the forefront here on this steep. So you guys can see that the core starting to lighten up a little bit, so I'm going to have to start to push this just a little bit for the subsequent steeps that will happen after the episode. So this is steep number 6 and 7. A little bit more herbaliness coming back in. Herbally, fruity. The aroma is not super strong or anything like that. Cheers, guys. It's just really, really dense, and it's really emphasized by the TeaDB that I've been having earlier, which I also considered to be a fairly well-bodied tea, but this tea is just another step beyond that in terms of density. It's just stronger, it's a more powerful throat feel. I find that the TeaDB is a very nice, well-put-together tea, but in comparison to this, it's lighter, and I think it sort of emphasizes sort of the terroir difference, if you are to believe the origins, that this is indeed Guafengzhai or Chawangshu, about the heaviness of the material versus the somewhat lighter but still heavy TeaDB pin. As I steeped this out last time, I found that the darkness continued, and sort of like notes like leather, sort of like a heavy leatheriness comes into the tea as well. I'm not getting that yet, but I'd expect that maybe in a few infusions that would start to come to the forefront as well. But I'm going to continue to drink this tea and to most likely enjoy it. I'm pretty sure I will continue to enjoy it. It's not something I would consider buying, just because I think stuff like the TeaDB and other teas bring me similar amounts of enjoyment for a lower price, but it is definitely a fun tea session. So thank you, Emmett, for sending this my way. I really appreciate the chance to just simply try this. It's a great privilege, and thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time for real for the storage comparison on TeaDB. Cheers, guys.